Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our interview with Teresa Roberts. Teresa is a director and global solution lead for risk modeling and decisioning at SAS. She has extensive experience in quantitative risk management and advanced analytics. She has worked in a variety of industries, including financial services, telecommunications, energy, retail, and government. She advises banks and regulators around the world on best practices, topics in risk modeling, decisioning, and the responsible use of artificial intelligence and machine learning. She holds also a PhD in operations research and informatics and lives with her family in Sydney, Australia. Teresa, thank you for coming to our interview today.
Thank you, Boris. It's my pleasure.
My pleasure too. So SAS has been an analytics leader for a long time, and last year it has been named as one of the top risk and compliance technology provider by Chartis, and it ranked fifth in overall global Chartis Risk Tech 100 2021 report, and won three industry solution categories, including model risk management. So a few weeks back, we had an interview with David Assermili about model risk management. And today we will continue our more elaboration about artificial intelligence and machine learning technology in risk management. Teresa, could you perhaps explain us in a few sentences what you and your team at SAS have been up to these days?
Sure, Boris, absolutely. So SAS has always been a leader in providing world-class analytical solutions for a wide range of business applications. These include risk management, fraud detection, customer intelligence as well. What is exciting for us at the moment is we've started to move and making our solutions available on our SAS Via, which is a cloud-native platform. So that opens up a whole lot of new opportunities for us to innovate.
Okay, so how have you been changing your models this COVID pandemic situation? Because I think with regards to models, it's very tough. Even before COVID, people were discussing that so there are some models that are wrong and some useful, but now probably majority of models are wrong and some are useless.
Yes, most turned out to be useless, and that is just because the model inputs have moved outside of the calibration range of what these models. The models have never seen the narrative of a pandemic play out. So we've seen lockdown measures in many countries that had impacts on unemployment and movement restrictions, etc. So we as individuals have been massively disrupted, but so have the business models of companies. So we've seen disruption at a global scale. And what we noticed on the risk management front is that not all the industries were impacted in the same way. So some were harder hit than others. And the recovery path is still, there's still a lot of uncertainty what will happen. Now, just want to add to that we saw both the traditional statistical and econometric models break down, as well as the newer algorithms such as machine learning. Both models had trouble in coping. So financial institutions had to apply their own human judgment and make adjustments and management overlays, put those in place for the models.
Mm-hmm. And based on your work with financial and regulators and the firms around the world, what are some of the kinds of AI ML applications that are delivering tangible benefits?
Sure. So what we see with the use of AI and machine learning for risk management, it's really good at at jobs that require repetition and that can be automated. So AI and machine learning is good at trawling through volumes and volumes of unstructured and structured data and pick up patterns that the human eye might miss. So possibly it's less glamorous than what we see in the movies, but definitely it's starting to pay off and deliver tangible benefit in the areas of credit scoring. So being able to offer credit and access to credit to minority groups where perhaps a credit bureau file is not available. And also in the area of fraud detection and cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And what did you learn specifically as a risk management practitioner? What because with new technologies come new risks. What are the main challenges that firms are facing in this in the use of these new technologies?
Yes, great question, Boris. So in the area of risk management, I think there's still a lot of caution in the industry. These are known risks that we associate with the use of these more complex and sophisticated algorithms. They lack transparency, so not so easy to explain to various stakeholders how the model works. But there's also great strides being made in addressing the explainability of these algorithms. The other challenge that is often associated with AI and machine learning is that it may perpetuate and amplify a bias that might be present in the training data. So historically, we might have some individual and societal biases, and that might be baked into the data that these algorithms are not smart enough to adjust for. So we might be amplifying those biases with the use. And we've seen this in the news. We saw it with facial recognition systems, and in the credit space, approvals of credit cards. Some big technology companies gave the women a much lower credit limit because of the historical data. But having said that, if I may, bias definitely is a concern, and there are ways to address it. And once we've addressed it in these models, the AI and the machine learning models might even help us to make more consistent data-driven decisions. So definitely not an insurmountable challenge.
Mm-hmm. So existing model governance framework sufficient for AML, or there should be a new ones developed and approved by different bodies?
Excellent. Yes, we have people mentioning, how about AI validating AI? So can we use AI models to also monitor these? Because of course they need the shelf life of the models might be shorter than our traditional models because of the sophistication in the patterns that they've detected and maybe their robustness. So we need to up our levels of validation to make room for AI and machine learning. It's putting a lot more demand on validation teams. Also in the areas of feature engineering, that needs to be validated, as well as other hyperparameter tuning methods that has been employed. So putting a lot more demand on model governance, and it's certainly not going away with the use of AI and machine learning.
Mm-hmm. So if I understand, to be better prepared for new types of risk, how can firms take a more strategic approach to the use of this new technology in risk management, from your opinion?
Yes, so what we've seen happen is that the process it takes to put models, whether they are traditional or more innovative, into production is still long. On average, it's 6 to 9 months for the financial services industry. So for banks to take new innovation and modeling seriously, they would need to rethink their end-to-end model lifecycle process and look for efficiency gains, perhaps in standardizing the data that goes into the models, as well as looking at the deployment. Ideally, if you think about it, a traditional model might have a handful of input variables. If we look at an AI or machine learning model, that can easily turn into hundreds and thousands of input variables. So if you have a manual process of deploying those models into your decision architectures, for example, that might not be scalable for you as the models increasingly grow in their number.
So I would like to ask you a personal opinion. What risk managers should start doing in this field of a new technology of AI, ML that they are not doing, or maybe also another way around, from your opinion, what they should stop doing that they are doing exactly now?
Yes, I think there's perhaps hesitation to embrace new technologies, and I understand that, because there's also a lot of hype around the use with computer vision and robots doing people's work, but that is not the case. That is more the science fiction. So, but if we look at the science fact, there are areas where innovation can make a real difference. We see it in customer experience. So by having these models to estimate income, you can gain efficiency and get much more accurate data. So look at perhaps not replacing all your traditional models with machine learning. That's not what I'm saying, but look at where the AI and the machine learning model can give you additional value, perhaps in the auxiliary function. So in your data quality processes, as well as in the feature engineering process, which is typically in the model development lifecycle, also quite a manual process.
Okay. Okay, so just to summarize the major takeaways, if someone who is listening to this interview would like to walk away with one or two major takeaways, what would it be from your point of view?
Yeah, so I've alluded to it earlier, but when it comes to AI and machine learning, we need to rethink our architecture, the infrastructure behind the data management, the modeling, as well as the deployment of the models, and making sure that end-to-end infrastructure is future-proof to handle the sophistication of these models, and look for areas where the manual processes can potentially be improved with automation for those efficiency gains and scale it, because the operational efficiencies are quite substantial.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and from our perspective, for myself, as a kind of we are a global risk community, a social network for risk managers all over the world, and just from my perspective, what do you think? How can we contribute to this to better understanding of this complex world of risk management?
Yeah, so we see the complexity increasing, right? There are a lot more emerging risks, climate risk, geopolitical risks, etc. So as a community, as different representative of the industry, regulators, risk management professionals, technology providers, if we collaborate and come up with solutions that are practical and help us to operationalize more the technologies, it will make for a better world and a safer place, more equitable and fair outcomes as well from our risk decisions.
All right. Thank you, Teresa. I think that's what I wanted to ask you. And maybe if you have some additional, what you wanted to add, maybe that I didn't ask you.
No, it's been a great conversation. I love talking about new innovation in risk. So hopefully we can continue the conversation at someday.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. And I wish you, your company and yourself great success in implementing these new technologies in risk management.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Me too.